I don't think it hurt. I don't think so. I heard my father telling my mother that she's sweet the other day. James had 2 daughters named Favor and Miracle, while John had 2 sons named Daniel and Isaac. The 4 children grew up together, so close that it was hard to tell whose child was whose. They played together, studied together, and treated each other like siblings, not just cousins. Among the 4 children, the bond between Favor and Isaac stood out the most. They were born just a few weeks apart, and people often thought they were twins. Wherever one went, the other was always nearby. It was as if they couldn't be separated. Favor and Isaac shared everything. They loved the same books, helped each other with school assignments, and spent most of their free time together. If Isaac struggled with a school subject, Favor was the first to help him. And when Favor was upset or feeling down, it was always Isaac who could cheer her up with his jokes or comforting words. Their friendship was something special, pure, and unbreakable. Everyone who saw them together admired the way they cared for each other. It was clear that the same deep bond their fathers shared had been passed down to them, making their connection even stronger. As Favor and Isaac grew into teenagers, they began to notice changes in themselves and each other. Favor started to bloom like a beautiful flower, her appearance becoming more graceful and mature. Isaac, on the other hand, was showing signs of masculinity, his voice deepening and his frame growing broader. Despite these changes, the bond they shared remained pure and untainted, built on years of friendship and trust. One night, while John and his wife were in their bedroom talking, their soft giggles echoed through the quiet house. The sound caught Favor's attention as she lay in the other room. Her curiosity was piqued. Why did her parents giggle so much at night, and what was the strange noise that always followed? Unable to resist, Favor tiptoed toward her parents' room. She stood by the door, her heart beating fast, and slowly pushed it open just a crack to peek inside. What she saw confused her teenage mind. Her parents were doing something she had never seen before. They were close to each other, their movements and expressions unusual. But what puzzled her most was the strange noises they made, sounds she didn't understand. Favor stood there for a moment, frozen with curiosity. She didn't know what to think. Her mind was filled with questions. What were they doing? Why did they make those noises? She quietly stepped back and returned to her room, her thoughts racing as she tried to make sense of what she had just seen. The next day, Favor couldn't stop thinking about what she had seen her parents doing the night before. The strange image kept playing in her mind, and her curiosity grew stronger. She decided to talk to Isaac about it when they were alone. She leaned in and whispered, "Isaac, last night I saw my parents doing something strange in their room." Isaac raised an eyebrow, curious. "What do you mean, strange?" he asked. Favor explained what she had seen, describing the movements and the sounds. Isaac chuckled and said, "Oh, that's just adult stuff." Favor looked at him with wide eyes. "Really? You know about this?" she asked, surprised. "Yes, Favor, I've seen my parents doing it before too," Isaac admitted casually. "And I've also seen it on the internet." Favor's surprise turned into curiosity. "Show me," she said eagerly. "Show you what?" Isaac asked, pretending not to understand. "You know, the adult stuff," Favor replied. Isaac shook his head. "No, Favor, that's adult stuff. You're not supposed to watch it." But Favor wouldn't let it go. She pestered him, begging him to show her what he had seen on his phone. Isaac hesitated, unsure of what to do. As Favor's questions and insistence continued, Isaac initially refused to show Favor the video, saying it wasn't a good idea. But one day, when all the adults were out of the house, Favor went into Isaac's room, determined. "Isaac, nobody is at home. You must show me that stuff you saw on your phone." "I haven't been able to stop thinking about it," she said, her voice filled with urgency. Isaac hesitated and replied, "I don't think that's a good idea, Favor. When I watched it, I started having these strange feelings all over my body, feelings I couldn't explain. It's not something we should watch." Isaac tried to reason with Favor, but she wasn't listening. Her curiosity was too strong. She had seen something she wasn't supposed to see, and it felt like she had crossed a line she didn't fully understand. Favor wasn't going to stop until she got answers. After much back and forth between them, Isaac finally gave in. "Okay, fine," he said reluctantly. He picked up his phone, opened the video, and showed it to Favor. At first, the video felt strange and uncomfortable for both of them. The actions of the people in the video were unfamiliar, and the sounds they made were odd. It was nothing like what they had ever seen before. But even though it felt awkward, they couldn't take their eyes off the screen. As they kept watching, something changed deep inside them. They felt a shift, something that hadn't been there before. It was their innocence, their pure, untainted bond as close friends and cousins, that was slowly being affected by what they were watching. Neither of them fully understood it, but the video was leaving a mark on them that they couldn't ignore. Mrs. Agatha, Isaac's mother, returned home earlier than expected. She called out from the sitting room, "Isaac, have you washed the plates I asked you to wash?" "Yes, Mommy," Isaac replied, trying to sound calm. Favor and Isaac froze. They were shocked to hear her voice. They hadn't realized an adult was back in the house. Panic set in as they looked at each other, knowing they had been doing something they shouldn't have. Quickly, Isaac helped Favor sneak out of his room through the back door. As she left, they both felt uneasy. There was a heavy feeling in their hearts, as if they had crossed a line they couldn't step back over. Over the next few days, their curiosity and growing fascination with the videos only deepened. They found ways to sneak into a room together and lock the door so they could continue watching. At first, it was just about satisfying their curiosity, but soon they found themselves drawn to the videos in a way they didn't fully understand. Day by day, things began to change between them. The cheerful shouts and playful games they used to share around the compound started to fade. The laughter and innocence that had defined their relationship were slowly replaced by a strange, uncomfortable silence. They could feel something pulling them toward each other, a force they couldn't explain. It wasn't the pure, innocent bond they had always shared as cousins. This feeling was deeper, darker, and confusing. It was the kind of pull that drew two people together as more than family. But neither of them fully understood it. They had never felt anything like it before, and it scared them. Isaac felt guilty about what they were doing. He knew deep down that it wasn't right. He tried to stop himself, to pull away, but the more he tried, the more he found himself drawn back into it. It was as if something had taken hold of him, and he didn't know how to break free. Both Favor and Isaac felt trapped by the secret they kept, but they couldn't tell anyone. Instead, they carried the weight of it silently, not knowing what to do or how to escape the growing tension between them. The next day, as Isaac and Favor were walking home from school, Favor turned to Isaac and said, "Isaac, we will practice what we watched today when we get home." Isaac looked at her with hesitation. "Are you sure about this, Favor? Will Mom and Dad be proud of us if we do that?" he asked nervously. "It doesn't matter," Favor replied quickly, her voice firm. Her curiosity had grown so much that she didn't seem to care about anything else. When they got home, Favor wasted no time. She headed straight into Isaac's room, waiting for him to join her. Isaac followed, still unsure about what they were about to do. Before anything could happen, though, Daniel, Isaac's younger brother, burst into the room. "Isaac, let's go and play ball," Dan shouted excitedly, not noticing the tension between Isaac and Favor. Isaac quickly used the moment to avoid the situation. "Yes, let's go," he said, grabbing the opportunity to escape what Favor wanted to do. But Favor was becoming desperate. The videos they had been watching had left her curious and restless, and her desire to act on what she had seen was growing stronger. Even though Isaac felt uneasy and hesitant, Favor's determination was beginning to create more tension between them. Something had changed in her, and it was clear she wasn't ready to let this go. As the weeks went by, Favor and Isaac couldn't find a place to practice what they had been watching. They tried sneaking into rooms at home, but always risked being caught. Frustrated and determined, they decided to find somewhere else, somewhere private. After thinking about it, they agreed to go into the bush on their way home from school one afternoon. As they walked back from school, they spotted a quiet area in the bush. "Let's go in here," Favor said, pulling Isaac by the arm. Hesitant but unable to refuse, Isaac followed her into the secluded area. "Take off your clothes," Favor Isaac said nervously. "Let's be fast before someone sees us." They hurriedly did what they had been thinking about, trying to copy the actions they had seen in the videos. When they were done, Favor looked at Isaac with mixed feelings, part excitement, part confusion. "We will come here every day to do it," she said confidently, already planning the next time. But Isaac shook his head. "No, Favor, I won't do it again," he said firmly, his voice filled with guilt and regret. "My conscience is judging me." Favor looked surprised and frustrated, but Isaac's words were serious. Deep down, he felt the weight of what they had done, and he knew it was wrong. While Favor seemed ready to continue, Isaac was beginning to feel trapped by the guilt growing inside him. Everything Favor did to convince Isaac to go back to the bush with her failed. Isaac was firm in his decision, fighting the guilt that weighed heavily on his conscience. While Favor wanted more, Isaac's refusal only grew stronger. 2 weeks later, Favor suddenly fell sick. She was vomiting and feeling weak. Concerned, her mother, Mrs. Patience, took her to the nearest hospital to find out what was wrong. After examining Favor, the doctor called Mrs. Patience into his office. "Are you her mother?" the doctor asked. "Yes, I am," Mrs. Patience replied, worried but eager to hear what was wrong. The doctor continued, "Your daughter is 3 weeks pregnant." The words hit Mrs. Patience like a thunderbolt. She couldn't believe what she had just heard. "This is not possible," she said angrily, her voice rising. The doctor remained calm. "Anger will not solve anything," he said. "Just take good care of her, she and the baby will be fine." As they stood to leave the hospital, tears filled Favor's eyes. She was overwhelmed with shame and fear. In her mind, one thought kept repeating, "How do I tell my mother that Isaac, my brother, is the one responsible for my pregnancy?" Favor's heart felt heavy, and her silence only deepened as they walked back home. She couldn't imagine how her family would react if they found out the truth. And so, Favor's secret remained hidden, at least for the time being. But the consequences of her actions would soon catch up with her, and the truth would eventually come to light. Watch out for the next part.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell so we can bring you more amazing stories.